We've all heard the myth that geniuses are born with it. That Steve Jobs, Picasso, Einstein were just wired differently. But what if I told you this? It's not about IQ at all. On a show that I used to watch years ago on one of the news channels there called Fareed Zakaria's show, a group of scientists and psychologists set out to find what really makes a genius. What they found flips the script on everything. Stick around because what they discovered could be the very thing that transforms your own life starting today. So listen carefully. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment if you have any questions. So let's get straight to it. This wasn't your average pop psychology fluff. These researchers analyzed the lives of legends like Einstein, Steve Jobs, Thomas Edison, Picasso. They wanted to know this. What do these people have in common? Was it upbringing, resources, or sheer IQ? Turns out it wasn't intelligence. It wasn't luck. It was persistence. That's what it was. As Thomas Edison once said, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. The ability to keep going when others give up. The scientists even discovered something fascinating. People who go through adversity often come out stronger, more resilient, more adaptable, more likely to succeed in the long term. Isn't that fascinating? The Bible nailed this concept centuries before modern psychology caught up. In the book of Romans, chapter 5, verse 3 to 5, it says this: we glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering or trials produces perseverance, perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. What psychology calls post-traumatic growth, scripture simply calls character building. This wasn't just theory, this is divine design. The very thing that nearly broke you could be shaping the genius in you. Ironically, amazing stuff. Very interesting. So now let's look at the corporate twist that no one saw coming. Okay. I remember watching a TED Talk presentation by an HR VP of, I believe it was UPS. And she made a bold statement. She said, hire the candidate with adversity written all over their resume, not the silver spoon. Why? Or, in other words, give those people a chance sometimes over the silver spoon. And she explains why. She said, because silver spoon candidate crumble under pressure. Again, not all. When they hit storms in leadership roles, they struggle. But the one who has been through something, the one who had to fight their way through life, they're the ones who persevere in those leadership roles. They stay standing when it matters most. They've built their leadership in the trenches, not just in the classroom, but through real life experiences that they've been through. They've learned how to adapt and how to deal with adversity. So let me ask you, what have you been through? What storms have you, all right? What storms have tried to knock you down? Those aren't setbacks. They are the building blocks of a genius. Every late night, every rejection, every failure, it's adding fuel to that fire. It's adding fuel to your fire. Einstein wasn't born knowing everything. Steve Jobs got fired from his own company. Edison failed over 1,000 times before he invented the light bulb. Abraham Lincoln failed multiple times before he became president. But they didn't stop, and neither should you. I was blown away that this was the common denominator between all these folks, geniuses, great people throughout history, throughout humanity, was the ability to bounce back. Wow. So the next time you doubt yourself, remember this video. Remember Romans 5. Remember that genius isn't just about IQ, it's about your grit. All right. So if you've been through adversity, good. We don't like to go through adversity. We don't want to go through adversity, but that means you're qualified for greatness. If you want to build that unstoppable mindset, make sure to subscribe, like, share, and so on. Remember, you can, you will, you must. I will share a quick story of my own. I applied to try to go to the Big Four, and I remember my first interview with Deloitte. And I remember that the professor who had a connection to that office wrote a recommendation letter to several of my colleagues from my school, from our accounting program. They took everyone except me. The professor said to me, wow, he's shocked because the recommendation he wrote. And so he was shocked that I was one of his best students in that class and I was the only one not selected. So he could not fathom or believe that they would turn me down. And he just kept on shaking his head. I'm so sorry. And I went a different path, but I still decided, I still want to get in. So I networked to try to get another interview. I got an interview with that same office and I applied. They turned me down again. And then I networked again. And then I went to a third interview in that same office and I got turned down again. And then I went to their rival firms and interviewed with KPMG and I got turned down as well. Then I went to EY interview and I got turned down at that time as well. Then I went to PwC and I got turned down again. So I got turned down like 7 times by these big 4 firms that I wanted to get into in my field, which is the public accounting field. So, but one day the breakthrough came through one of the connections that I made over the years. After gaining some experience, I got hired by one of the big 4s after years later, but I got in. I did not give up. So the Japanese quote that says fall 7 times, get up 8, all you need is that one. Years later, that Deloitte firm reached out again to want to talk to me and bring me over, but I didn't really entertain it at that time. You know what I'm saying? And then all these other firms, I was able to work for. Some of them reached out to me and so on and so on. The point is, I did not give up, and eventually I got in. Sometimes just all you need is that one opportunity just to break through, right? And it makes all the difference. Don't give up because all you need is one. 7 Up is called 7 Up because the person that was trying to create that soda failed 6 times. The 7th time was when he did it. If you read the story of Elijah, same thing. He talks about Elijah prayed so many times, 6 times for rain. It did not rain. The 7th try was when it rained. I don't know, there's something special about that 7, the number of completion, but even if it takes more than 7 times, that's fine. Don't give up, don't give in. You can, you will, you must.
Disclaimer: this video is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Always do your own research before making investment decisions.